Hello and welcome. Sorry about the slight technical issue. It was a bit of a delay, but we're fine now. We're all sorted, aren't we?
Hmm.
So tonight I'm speaking to Nando, portal to the Go on then. Who are you?
Nando from
Oh,
Portal to the Paranormal.
I got it, didn't I? I said it, and then I thought, oh no, I just changed my mind at the last minute. But
That's all
yeah,
right.
I've known you a while, haven't I? And I've even joined you on your event at Derby Jail, which it's an incredible night. That
It
was.
was a funny night for me, and I think it was the. I'm trying to think of the name of the room. It was the room with the person on the slab table. Do you remember? It was the back room, and you were doing a séance in a group, and then
Yeah.
everyone started getting the giggles really bad. And I think it got to the point you got the giggles so bad you were on the floor. Uh, it was quite an amusing night. It was funny as well.
Oh god, I'm used to funny and amusing. But what got me, like, we were just sitting in the cell. So there's a bar, and then behind the bar there's actually another cell that you don't get access to anymore. And it was kind of a little junk room.
Hmm.
And I got these rope lights, and they started going off. And I sort of said, "Oh, is that you, Dad?" And you says to me, "Oh, Dad, do you mean Dad from here because you work here?" I said, "No, it's my dad." And then I told my dad to back off, and it did. It just killed the activity, didn't it?
It was a great
In that
evening. I
area,
think
but yeah, it was.
I think Mickey York joined us as well, didn't he?
Oh
Um,
yeah, Mickey, of course he
Mickey,
did.
Mickey was there as well because he was doing some filming there. It was a great
Yeah,
night though. It was a good night.
thank you. Oh, Mason, thank you. But yeah, it was, and I just love going to. Well, I go to Derby Jail quite well. I have been there quite a lot because I used to host there.
Mm.
Also, I was there 2 weeks ago. I nearly went this weekend, but I ended up at Matlock Pavilion again. So, so I've done that 2 consecutive weekends. But yeah, and there's a lot of really nice, decent local places around me. So if you do sort of do anything in this direction again, then yeah, I'll certainly
we'll,
look to
we'll,
book on because yeah.
we'll
Oh,
we'll
thanks
let you
for
know.
sharing. But yeah, so oh, excuse me.
That's all right.
Um, so let's start then with where it all started for you. When
Well,
did you first discover that's something different about?
so for me, I think a lot of it leads to being a child. It was me, my mother, my two siblings at the time. We lived like my father had moved out, and I think the first experience I personally had, what I can remember, was seeing my grandmother walking through our house,
Oh
and
wow.
she had this amazing glow. Now, the one of the most fascinating things, and one thing that sticks with me, is she didn't present herself as the person that I remembered, like the older lady, like my grandmother. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
she actually comes. So when I first saw her, I didn't recognize her because she presented herself as a younger self. So when we went to visit my grandparents at the grave, you could see the younger vet, and that's who she was. So she didn't come to me in the way that I remember her before she passed away. It was her younger self.
Oh, that's
So that was one of the
beautiful.
first moments that I had that made me realize. But I think as your kids, your mind is so open to things, and as we get older, we go through different things, and your mind starts shutting off to certain things.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
so the paranormal for me was like didn't exist anymore. And then Sarah, my wife, she's always been into it. And
Awesome.
she used to go out on these ghost hunts. And it's funny, really, because I used to take the mick a little bit. I was like, you're going to go and you're going to go and play Ghostbusters with your friends.
Yeah.
Because I did it. I think, like a lot of people, you're at a point in your life where you just don't believe it, maybe because you're scared of it or whatever. But yeah, so she was doing it. And then Dan, just after COVID, he formed Portal to the Paranormal and said, let's do this. And he asked if I wanted to get involved. And initially it was to help with the advertising, push events out and things like that. And then I got involved and it just a well wound, really, because we went to a
Yeah.
place called Manor Farm, which it was a historic farmstead within Southampton,
Well,
and it
okay.
was, and there was also an old many medieval church called Saint Bartholomew's Church, and we
Oh,
were in
okay.
there, sitting in one of the pews, and we were just doing some call outs, and we saw this light anomaly just gently come down but go up the aisle, and then before we said this could be paranormal, you try and mimic the light in every way we could, and we
All right.
couldn't.
Yeah.
We couldn't replicate the light, and I think that was my first moment when I was like, "Wow, there is something going on," and it's just led from there, really.
That's brilliant. It's an interesting thing to to sort of experience, though, isn't it? And then it just kind of gets you hooked and everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's you start your. I think your mind starts opening again from there. There is more out there, and I think like from doing the podcast as well. So initially, Sarah started the podcast,
All
and
right.
we've sort of developed it as the years have gone on, and the amount of people we've got to speak to, listening to their stories, but not only just about paranormal investigations, like speaking to people like Paul Goddard,
Oh,
how he
incredible!
explains the
Yeah,
mind, Dr. Kieran O'Keefe, and just listening to different aspects of the paranormal and try and put it all together is it's absolutely great. And I think that's one of the best parts of the paranormal for me is doing the podcast and speaking to so many people.
yeah. It is incredible. I can't believe, like, yeah, back in the day, you sort of like I've been doing it 5 years, and you sort of ask people, "Can you be on a podcast, please?" And you think you're going to get a no or whatever, and they go,
Mm.
"Yeah," and it's like, "Oh, okay," and and there's not many who's turned me down, and like that, there are some people turn me down because they don't want to do a podcast, and they've
Hmm.
turned everybody down.
I
Um,
think the ones that seem to turn away are the ones that have had to deal with a lot of negativity thrown their way.
yeah,
Because
yeah, you get that.
there is, like we were saying backstage about certain things, there,
Yeah, that's right.
as wonderful as the paranormal can be, it does come with its flaws, and one of the biggest thing is keyboard warriors and people that just troll just because they've got nothing better to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It used to be the days where if you didn't like someone's content, skip or move on to another
Oh,
channel, or you know and this is the thing, like that's the mind blowing thing, because there's so much negativity, and what people are not realizing, you're passing that down to the younger generation to make them think it's okay to do that to people, because it is a form of bullying, in my opinion.
yeah.
And we're trying to teach our kid, like we got two boys, and we
Oh,
try and say you don't go online and troll people like that. If you don't like their content, move on, don't sit there, because it
yeah,
becomes
that's the best
personal.
way.
And then suddenly it's not about their content, it's about their appearance. Not about their appearance, it's about things that they're saying about their family, and it's just like it's not needed.
Yeah,
Just
that's
move on,
right. But
gently
isn't
move
that
on.
social media in general? It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
Like, oh, this person had a road accident. You get all the laughing faces.
it
Oh, this has
is.
happened, and people are laughing. It's like, really? Is humanity that bad? And it is, isn't it?
It is,
Absolutely
and
shocking.
you know, like I was saying to you, it's not just what I've experienced with the paranormal, what I see out there. It's also away from the paranormal. Me and Sarah took part in a show called One Born Every Minute. And the whole point of the show is a documentary to educate people about the journey of what parents go through a pregnancy. And my
Yeah.
son Gino, he was very ill. Sarah was very ill. And I remember the day in this particular case was the midwife and the doctor come up to me and my father at the time, and they said to me, look, Gino's really ill. It's a 50-50 chance that he may not survive.
Gosh.
And then just as I go up to the ward, I get pulled by the ward sister saying Sarah's blood pressure's so high she could have a stroke. And
Ooh.
I was stood there, like, what do I do? Anyway, some time went on, and I went and sit with Gino, and I was holding him, and the nurse put him in my arms, and suddenly the machine started going off, and his wire that was in his hand became loose, and I started crying. Like naturally,
Well,
that's all I could
naturally,
figure to do.
your head's just Yeah.
And the camera was there, and even the producer said, "Look, we're going to stop filming," because they could see it. But they used that clip in part of the show, and then I had received a message. Well, I got told about a comment that was put, and this is word for word because it's sort of stuck and ingrained in me.
It does,
This
doesn't
baby,
it?
this baby's better off dead than having a dad that will cry on national TV.
Oh.
And you can imagine, like, and it just plays on your mind. Like, what did you want me?
Mm,
If you stand there and laugh about it or not show an emotion, you get pinched about
you
it. But
tell
then when
us,
you show an
yeah.
emotion, you still get pinched. And there was a lot of stuff going on in the background. Even to now, Gino's 16 this year. And
Oh, he's
even now,
incredible.
I'm getting sent messages. Have you seen this comment that someone's left about you? Oh,
No,
this dad is worthless. This dad is stupid. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I was gonna At the time, I didn't know if I was gonna lose my wife or if I was gonna lose my child. I
oh
cried.
my
You know what
gosh,
I mean?
that is
And that's
disgusting.
and the thing is, that's the thing in the world we live in. People think it's all right to make those personal attacks. Even with what we do in the paranormal, we want to show content for people to enjoy. People don't get to always come out. And I think it's important if we can share something with them to make them feel good, that they feel that they can enjoy something, why not? But
Yeah,
unfortunately, you get all these people that come in forces that think it's all right to attack someone for just
that's
doing good.
right.
But,
And
you know,
the thing is, like, we all know that paranormal tools are not built for the paranormal. Like,
mm,
I use a lot of Andy Guy stuff at the moment, and they're
mhm,
like sensors that see changes in temperature, changes in air pressure, other environmental factors. They're not a ghost detector. They are just trying to monitor things, and the idea that if this says that and that says that, then potentially there could be something there. And it's
mm.
to, sort of inform you like EMF and everything. And we all know nothing is a guaranteed ghost,
No,
but
you
we
got to be
do what we can with the
sensible.
best tools we have.
But if you can have two separate, like, pieces of equipment that are sort of correlating with each other, it does make you think, could this be something paranormal? But you're always questioning it. But I think
Yeah,
there's people, they just take it a bit too seriously and not see. We acknowledge that not everything's going to be paranormal. We know the environment around us is going to cause false positives. If you're in a
that's
creaky
right.
building, that's why a lot of the times you do a walk around so you can know, okay, that room over on the left, that's got a creaky floorboard. So if there's a
Yeah,
bit of wind, it's going to affect it. But I just think, unfortunately, the I think people are just negative because they just want to be negative towards people to make you feel bad about yourself. And
yeah,
I think that's the negative side of the paranormal. But on the plus side, the amount of great people that you get to meet on events,
yeah.
it's
That's
you
it.
know,
It is
it's
incredible, isn't it?
like-minded people that you can sit there. If there's nothing going on, we'll tell a ghost story. Like
Yeah,
something
you
that
just have
we.
a chat and a laugh, don't you? Yeah,
And do you know what? 9 out of 10 times, when you're not in that moment, when you're not actually doing the investigation, something starts happening that makes you think, "Oh, they're listening."
yeah, that's right.
There is stuff, and I do believe that it's those moments where paranormal happens is when you're not fully concentrating into the investigation, and they
That's
want,
right.
and then they're like, "Oh God, they've taken their eye off the ball. I want them to know that I am here," and then subtle things
Yeah,
start happening. So, and that's
that's
great.
it.
That is great when things like that happen.
And often if you don't have a camera running. Like, I
Yes.
don't always use cameras. I've also been slated. I wrote about an occasion that I had on my Facebook. I went here, this happened. Someone says, "Did you film it?" No. "Oh, well, it couldn't have possibly happened because you didn't film it." Well, that's not my motivation. It's not my motivation at all.
No.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Jenny. We had a similar experience where we set up a Spectrum camera. So we're at a place called Fort Whitley in Gosport.
Oh, I'd
It's the
love to go
underground
there.
tunnels,
Yeah.
right underground. So the good thing about this place is that it picks up no signal whatsoever. So if a spirit box goes off, or it's like it's harder to debunk because you're underground where it doesn't pick up any of the signals from what's going on outside.
Yeah.
But what this particular investigation, we set up a Spectrum camera, and we were recording. We had a chalkboard, but with a pen that was in a movable like planchette that could easily
Yes.
move. So we all left, and we went and investigated the other end of the fort. So literally, it's about a 5 minute walk. So we left it. We come back, and someone had drawn a line across the chalkboard. Right, and
Wow.
this was me, Sarah, and our other two team was Jojo and Sean. And I was like, okay, well, whoever did it, because straight away I'm like, someone's trying to play a
Yeah,
game, but they've
someone's
not.
done it. Yeah.
But they've not realised we filmed it all because the camera was still rolling when we come back. So
Ah, cool.
Me and Sarah got home. This was at 3 o'clock in the morning. You would think 3 o'clock, you're dead to the world. You just want to
Oh
get
no,
in bed,
you need to know.
just.
Yeah.
And then me and Sarah was like, do we get all the wires out and start, plug it in, download it? And we thought, do you know what? This could be an amazing capture if there was no one there.
Yeah.
So we downloaded all the files. When we go to play it, for some reason, we can't explain it to this day, all the files were corrupted.
Oh.
Every file that it took, because what it does, it records in 30-second intervals. So every 30 seconds, it does that
Oh,
clip for you, saves it, does another clip, save it, so you can see it in each gap.
I've got that. Yeah.
And all the files were, we couldn't get into it. And I was just like,
Oh my
that is,
God.
and that to me is, I believe to this day, that is real paranormal, because we know there was no one in the tunnel when we
That's
thought about it.
right.
So, we then started working out where was everyone placed at the time that we left.
That's it.
And what we tend to do, we set up cameras along the corridors and everything, so we can always monitor. So when we look back on the actual CCTV, no one was going in and out. So
Mm.
so for me, that did
You've got
something.
it. But yeah.
Was there a spirit clever enough to think, oh crap, I've showed myself a little bit too much. Now I've got to play with your equipment and make it corrupt so you can't use it.
Oh yeah.
And I do believe that that's something that could have happened. But again,
Yeah, I agree. And
with technology, we can't be certain. But for me,
yeah,
we had filmed on the Spectrum camera early in the night and it was all fine. It was just in that particular tunnel, that's when the files, but every file before that was absolutely fine. We could watch on the TV, we can download.
typical.
It was that moment where we left it on its own, no one in the top, that's when we couldn't use it. And that was just like, that was upsetting.
Yeah,
So,
like Jenny says, it always happens. She gets the same on the voice recorder, which the files won't play. But your kit, don't you?
yeah,
You've used this kit time and time again, and
yeah,
you know how it works. So if it fails, then that's not normal, is it?
yeah. And the thing is, we did all the checks, like even afterwards, like sitting there at 3 o'clock on
Wow.
the floor, we were looking at the Spectrum camera. It still had half a battery, so the battery wasn't faulty.
Yeah.
The light was still like nearly fully charged. So everything was running as smoothly, and we even set it up from this side of the living room, just facing that way, and left it alone, and it was doing absolutely perfect without no charge, without
Wow.
anything. So it
Yeah.
was just that moment. But yeah, and I think that for me was like, that's paranormal because we
That's
can't prove
added.
it.
Yeah.
But even when you go to debunk it, you look at the equipment, you look at everything around you,
Of course
you
you do.
can't say what could have caused it apart from something that was not normal.
Yeah, and
So
it's crazy that he had two torches disappear last night. And, it's just mad, isn't it? Just things that
yeah.
we can't explain why things go missing, or like battery drain as well. It doesn't happen a lot with me. I think because they nick my energy.
Mm,
So they take my energy, and I think they do. And but a lot of people, go places and they get the batteries drained, don't they? And
yeah.
it's enough it happens to enough people to know it's some sort of phenomena,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, because and I've said this before, because people turn around and say, "Well, clearly you haven't charged your equipment enough." Well, wait there.
Oh,
Actually, we charge it from before we leave, and then we get there, and it's still working. It's when you start the investigation, everything starts to, like, we've
yeah,
had
that's
lights that
right.
suddenly go out, or the cameras just go out. Also,
Yeah.
candle up here lit.
Wow, I like that.
Do you like that?
That's incredible, and that's incredible, isn't it? And the thing is, like Chris has got a story, and we've all got stories, and
Mm.
we believe it because you've said that's happened. We believe you. Yeah, others will go, oh no, whatever, but we know that anything can happen because we've done it enough. We
I
have had enough of our own strange experiences.
Yeah, I think what people need to realise when we go to locations, we're spending up to what 6 to 7 hours at one location,
Yeah,
and what you do, we don't just stick to that location and think, okay, we've done it, we don't go back. Like places like Fort Whitley, we've been there so many times. You build a
yeah,
rapport with the location, so you sort of learn where the hot spots usually are when stuff do happen. Like we always seem to get something on the spiral staircase,
wow,
and that seems to be a key point where you get a response. Like we were there, and we were now with echoes. You got to be careful because as sound travels, it changes.
yeah,
But we just did something simple. We whistled, and it wasn't until about 5 seconds later we heard a whistle back. So by that point, our whistle going down the tunnel would have drowned out. But then we heard a whistle back. But it's when you tell people, and they're like, unless they experience it for themselves. And that's what I like about events is when you get the people that don't believe in the paranormal, they come because their mother or their partner believes in it. And we had that exact experience with a gentleman. We were going down again, we were at Fort Whitley because it's a prime
yeah.
location. And we were walking down the tunnel. He come up to me, he goes, "Look, I don't want to be rude to you, but I don't believe in all this mumble jumbo stuff, what you're doing and
Yeah,
everything."
Mumbo Jumbo. Yeah, I
And
love it.
some people, and this is the thing, some people in the paranormal would take offense to that. And I think, do you know what? That's an opportunity to potentially educate someone if
That's
something does
right.
happen. It's not an offense. He's being honest, and everyone's entitled to feel the way they do.
Of course
But
they
anyway,
are.
so we go into one of the side tunnels, and again, we should not pick up anything on a spirit box. You're underground. There's
Yeah.
no way the signal can get into being that far underground. So we was like, let's do a spirit box and see what happens. So me, Dan, and then this gentleman and his partner. And we just put it on and we was like, if there are any spirits here, please feel free to communicate with us. We don't mean no harm. And I think one of the important things is always introduce yourself. You
Yeah,
know,
we do that.
I'm
Yeah.
not being like as humans, like when we interact with each other face to face, we introduce ourselves. So we
Yeah,
should do
we're
that for
walking into
spirit.
their territory, be it
Exactly.
their home, their workplace, whatever it
So be
is.
respect. So we go round and doing it, and then the spirit box, clear as day, goes, "I'm here, son," in full sentence. And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
so let's ask questions. Make sure it's
Yeah,
not anything else. And we all go round and say, "Can you reply if you're trying to talk to one of us?" And it
yeah.
went back to this guy and goes, "Are you trying to communicate with me?" "Yes, I'm behind you, son." And then this
Oh
guy was like,
gosh.
okay, so you see the clockwork start like ticking over, like he's starting to realize. And
Oops.
then I said to him, I'll go, well, if this is something personal, we can either do one or two things, which I think is important. When it's something personal, you either say, are you comfortable to continue? Because
Yeah,
sometimes people don't want to share their personal stuff.
that's
And he was
right.
like,
It can get a bit, yeah.
yeah, so you got to be careful because you sometimes you got to put the person before the investigation.
Yeah, that's
Their
right.
well-being because you don't know what they've gone through with this person. So
No.
but he turned around really with that. No, don't switch it off. Let's carry on. I was like, okay, well, if this is for you, you ask the questions. And he turned around and goes, can you tell me something to let me know that it's really you? This voice mentioned his partner's name, which we later found out the dad never actually met the partner because he had passed away before he got with her. So this spirit was able to tell her name, Rebecca, in full, right?
Oh
And
my
I
God.
kid you not, we broke off for a break. So halfway through, we'll go. He sat in the corner, bless him, in floods of tears. And at the end of the
Oh,
night, he come because when we do like a bit of a wash up where we go through the investigation, what people
yeah,
picked up, but we didn't say about his part because that was personal. But he
yeah.
come up to us at the end of the night. He goes, "That is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. I will see you at another event." And he's been on an
That's
event with us
beautiful.
since. And I just think
That is
that's
so
just
beautiful.
such a great story to tell. And again, you've had some people say, well, what about if that's, you know, you're letting your mind believe it's that? And I was like, well, we couldn't have let our mind believe it was saying that because he didn't believe it in the first place.
That's right. And
You know,
how do you get the spirit box to say those words?
yeah, in
Which
full sentence and the
answered
word
on
Rebecca,
cue
you
and,
know,
yeah, a relevant name. Yeah.
and and
Wow.
that was
Incredible.
a great experience. And the best thing about it, he come back afterwards, like he said, I'll see you at another event, and he come back to another event and he's more open to it now. And
Yeah,
you
that's
know
right.
and I think they're the best kind of people. I love everyone that we've got to meet, but
Yeah,
to get
me
someone
too.
from I don't believe in this mumble jumbo stuff to wow, that was the best thing that's ever happened to me, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great way to
That's
end
a
an evening.
massive move, though, isn't it? Because now I've gone into doing public events now, Barry John, and
Mm,
we do meet a lot of people, and you get people sort of going along who don't believe, and yeah, if they do experience something, it kind of makes a night, that they're going
mm.
to hold somebody's hand, or because they don't want to go on their own and stuff, and it's incredible. Just got to catch up with the comments. I've really got behind
Okay.
on these now. So Jenny set up a camcorder, placed toys on the stairs, left for 2 hours, went back to check. The bell was at the bottom of the stairs. Camcorder was turned off. Yeah, it was plugged in, and the voice recorder picked up the bell, rolling, being pushed
Beautiful.
down the stairs. REM pod going off. Literally, it cried. Yeah, it's. Oh, I don't know. It's these things, though, isn't it? So Chris, he goes live, so in real time, so people can see what's happening.
Do you know
Andy,
what Chris has just said there? Just to
yeah,
interrupt. That's what we like to do. So when we set up our camera, we don't just go off what we're filming in hand, but we will have like actual cameras, just stagnant cameras, just focusing on key areas, and we just leave them rolling throughout the night.
oh, that's
So
cool.
if
Yeah,
if anything happens, and then they can go back, well, actually, no one was there. We saw the camera. It was a no one was there, and we've picked up stuff that like trip lights, where the only way they go is if vibration hits the lights, like near the
yeah,
lights, and it vibrates the lights to go off like a sensor. It's a sensory. And we
yeah.
had one on the going down the stairs in a place called Murchison Hall.
Right.
And again, the camera was focused on the stairwell, so you can see that there's no one there. And the only way these lights will go is if someone's walking down those stairs. And in order, like someone was walking down, all of them went
Oh
down, but there was
gosh,
no physical body to say, but that's why they've gone down. And
that's
that's why
that
we
is
leave the cameras
incredible.
rolling, because then people can see raw
Yeah.
footage live without no what do they call it? I know people say that this has been masked, you've got an overlay here, you've got that there. Well,
Oh
no, here's the
no,
camera, this is where
this
we
is it
sit out,
raw. Yeah,
and then just watch it live. And then I think that's a great way of doing an investigation.
it is. Yeah. Andy Tom, I was looking for an item this morning, couldn't find it, even though it's always in the same place. Had a wash, came back to the bedroom. It was on the bed, exactly where I lay, and I would have noticed the item. It's
See,
mad, isn't
I
it?
believe that, I believe in those sort of things.
I do.
I think it's especially where you're adamant, like, do you know, with us, we got a key pot where we put all our keys in, so it's all in one place and we know where it is. And then the amount of times where I've come down and the key's been moved to a certain point in the house, I'm like, Sarah, is that you? And she's like, no, it's not me, it's not me. Things happen where we think we're doing it, but I believe it's actual. Like Sarah will blame me for it, saying, well, you just didn't put it back. And I'm like, no, I know I did. I'm not going
Yeah.
crazy. I'm not going crazy, but I do believe spirits. Like for me, I think a spirit that's constantly around me is my granddad, who I would have
Oh,
in
bless you.
Italian we would call him nonna, because that's word in
Yeah.
Italian for granddad.
Wow.
And the amount of times that I can smell his tobacco that he used to smoke, and
Oh,
the
beautiful.
the smell of coffee beans because he would, he loved his espresso
Real
coffee.
coffee.
And every
Nice.
so often, it wasn't funny. I become ill a couple of years ago and I formed 2 blood clots on my lungs.
Oh
And
God.
I was on the sofa and I was in and out of consciousness. And Sarah was there trying to what do I do? And this is funny. I turn around and go, Sarah, it's fine. My nonna said everything's going to be fine. He's here with me. Do you know,
Bless you.
Sarah left me on the sofa and ran and got my mum because she got scared. And my
Oh
mum
God.
was here.
Yeah.
But I think for me, that's a sign that when you're at your most vulnerable state, the people that mean the most to you surround you and
Yeah.
make you know that it's going to be okay. And I think that was a sign. I know I'm laughing about it, but then
Yeah, it was a bad situation, but
you
yeah.
know, and this one thing I don't like is when you got like I think it's called the debunkers community and things like
Yeah.
that. Yes, they are good, but to tell people or other people, like again, these trolls online, to say people are not experiencing these experiences, I think that's not right. Because if it makes them feel good, they deserve to feel like that. They don't deserve to have anyone to tell them any different.
Yeah,
It's their
that's right.
experience. Let them have their experience. It doesn't hurt you in any way. So
That's
just leave them
it.
being to have their moment.
See, the experiences I've had, I can't even mention some of them because they're crazy. And even if you put footage out, it's a lot of mediumistic and
Mm.
like so when I do the privates, we kind of invite spirit close to us. Well, going out live, they're just going to think you're faking it. It's rubbish. But actually, when you're involved in it and how you feel, how the people around you feel, people trancing around me, stuff like that. People could say they're acting, well, they're not. Because you're there and you know what's going on. And
And I
it's
think people need
fascinating,
to.
isn't it?
Yeah, and I think people need to realise when you're out on location, yes, obviously you're going to get the small percentage of people that come out purposely try and mimic, like if they're doing a spirit board, for example,
Mhm.
or you're going to have people that are in the mindset that they're going to create their own paranormal activity because they think that's the way to do it. But people need to realise us when we've done it for so long and we do it for the right reason, we know how to spot if someone's playing the game. We're,
Oh,
we're not
God, yeah.
stupid. We're not stupid.
Finger.
And just because
Oh,
Larry next to me is faking something doesn't mean the rest of the people that are here are faking it as well. We just let
that's
them
it.
continue. Just let them continue what they do. If they're happy doing it, then we're
Yeah,
just like, you know what? We'll just move on a little bit. You carry on with what you believe that you're saying, or
yeah.
But the problem is, we can see that you're moving the planchette yourself. We can see you're trying to stomp on the ground. We're not stupid. We know what's real and what isn't real,
If
and
they
we're
realise that they're doing it, do they
yeah.
always realise that they're pushing it?
No.
I
So
don't think they do as well.
sometimes I believe that I don't know if you believe the same with the spirit board as well. Sometimes I believe we do naturally move it, but because something's making us move it. But then on
Yeah.
the other side, I do believe that there's people that purposely, and
Oh, the
you always know it
purposely, you know the
because
difference, yeah.
they always seem to get a personal message for themselves. And I'm not on about just one. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
we've had people that joined us before, and we've got to know. And it just seems to be every time they're on it, they get a message. And I
Yeah.
just think, so you go. But what I'm trying to say, we do know when we believe something and when we don't necessarily believe something.
That's right. You're sort of wise enough, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Sarah Edwards makes me laugh when people discover my interest in the paranormal. They say, I don't believe in all that stuff. Then they always go and tell me about something that they've experienced that they can't explain. And doesn't that happen, time and time again?
It's funny whenever we go somewhere that has history. Sarah always engages in conversation with people, and she turns and goes, "We go ghost hunting," and then you sort of get those looks like you lot are crazy. But then when you tell them the story, I think a lot of it is people are scared to experience what could happen, so they
Yeah,
prefer to stay on the outside of it, if that makes sense.
that's right. So
Mm.
Chris went from being skeptic to believer in the paranormal. Andy, amazing how quickly you can be transformed from non-believer to skeptic to believer in like no time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chris, so I can read it. I always get people asking where we are when I'm live. I can't always expose the location exactly. You don't want people turning up, and every investigation isn't the same. Like last night, it was intense and dealt with court people. So yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's you got to
there
be
are some great
careful.
experiences, aren't there?
Yeah, there is. I think also when you're looking at locations, you got to be mindful of you know, I love the historic places because that's deep in history, and
Yeah,
you can,
definitely.
you know, I think there's one particular location for me that I'm on the fence about, and it's famous, not just here but across America, and that's
Yeah,
30 East Drive.
yeah,
you know we investigated it. When you walk into it, you're sort of blown away because you're sort of, you get sent back to like around the 70s, 80s time because of the
yeah,
decor. It's all the same, but then when you delve into it in a bit more history, and then you learn about how the house come along, you know the owner of the house created a film, and it's just like,
mm,
are you being sold what's being produced on a film, or is there
yeah,
actually panel? Because I'll be honest, when we went, we didn't really pick up on it for something that is so haunted with such a dark, poltergeist and everything. I didn't feel it. It
yeah,
was eerie because of the way it's been left, and the pictures in the back room and everything. But other than that, I couldn't say, that's the only location for me that if anyone said which one is the one that you're on the fence with, would be 30 East Drive for me, because it just didn't. I don't know if you've ever done it
yeah.
yourself, but it
No, I
just not.
haven't. I've been. So the Parameet North was actually in Pontefract.
Okay.
So what I did, I decided to try and work out why it was so haunted. And you sort of arrive at it. It's in a housing estate. So
Mm.
you've got like a great big roundabout, sort of a circle in a housing estate, and it's just around that, and it's like
Yeah.
okay, and it just there are a lot of wells in the area apparently.
Yeah.
If you go into Pontefract, you've got the castle, you've got an abbey, and you've got something else in between as well, even older. That's interesting. So you have got a lot of interest there, but
Mm.
it's a long way from the house,
It
and I
is.
don't get it. I I can't get it, and
And the other thing for me is, I don't believe spirits are locked to one location. I think they
oh
have the
gosh,
room.
no,
But being in a housing estate as it is, you see what it's like. It's like a cul-de-sac. It goes all the way
that's
around.
right. Yeah,
If it's so haunted the way it is, how come none of the other houses are not experiencing any kind of activity or not seeing things
that's
happening as they walk
right.
past the house? Because it just seems odd that it's, unless someone's made it stay in that one place and that's it. But I just don't get the vibe.
Ah,
And again, I would never say, like, people that have gone there and say they've had experiences there. Maybe you have, but is that experiences linked to the actual house, or is that something that's followed you, that's linked to yourself, that's come through?
yeah,
You know,
that's interesting. Yeah,
it's a
Andy.
funny thing.
Andy sort of says, "Is it possible that the roundabout at East Drive could be a portal?"
Yeah. Do you know anything?
Yeah, anything, isn't it? We just
I
don't know.
It's just a story for me. It's too much
Mm,
of
yep,
what
story.
we see, the films and everything. It's
Yeah,
I just don't get. I don't know. Maybe for me, I just feel it was like we've sold the story. Now let's sell the property and make money out of it, and it's
that's
like
right.
a cha-ching maker for me. But
But then
I could be wrong.
it was a ching maker before some other properties like come along, haven't they?
Mm,
But it's
yeah,
my idea that like we do what we do. We interact with something. We call it spirit or whatever it is. Week in, week out, we have our relatives, and they can follow us into these locations, or we
yeah,
can leave them there. Well, not leave, but they can go there or free will, as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned. So yeah, things will happen there, but questionable whether it actually links to the original story. But I think with us doing what we do, there's just things get left there and dolls and all sorts of things. So that's why you can get activity, I believe.
I when you bring up dolls, the only place that I can think about that freaks me out, I do you know what? I didn't experience anything, but it was just we slept at the Haunted Antiques Museum in Hinckley, and the
No,
doll room,
well,
and we were setting up beds, and they were like, "Okay, let's sleep in the doll room," and I set up the bed, and do you know what? I looked around, and all I could see. Do you know when you switch off the lights, but some of them are quite shiny, so a little bit of light that comes through like the window or anything, it reflects
yes.
on the and all I could see were these eyes, and I was like, I can't do it. So I thought it'd be clever to go and sleep up in the attic part. Do you know where they
Oh,
got the big bed?
yeah, lovely. That's the most
That was
haunted part.
that was even worse for me to sleep there because I felt like the chairs kept me. So I was sleeping on. So I led out. He's got the side bed, like that couch, the weird like sort of
Yeah,
settee thing.
yeah.
So I set up bed there, and it's funny because they've had a camera. And the next day they were like, "Nando, how do you sleep?" And I was like, me being me, I was like, "Yeah, it was really good." Oh, so you didn't have your phone torch on all night, and you kept going up and down to see if there was.
Yeah,
I forgot the camera was playing, and all night
yeah.
you could just see me doing this with the torch, and then putting the seat. In that room, it's just
Too
weird.
funny.
That room as a whole is just weird. The vibe, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like it up there.
I'm just addicted to that place, I'm gonna miss it like anything.
Mm,
So Andy says, "I agree, Nando and Jackie. East Drive came from apparently nothing on a housing estate, never of a house on the estate has any hauntings, and it is very strange, I was going to the Parameet. I did contact the owner. I did ask if I could have permission to go for maybe 2 and 3 hours in the daytime,
mm.
and he says there wasn't any infrastructure in place to do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, when I arrived that day, because I did actually go, I knew I couldn't go in, but I had to go and have a look.
Yeah.
And there must be a camera because I was just like walking up and down outside, and this bloke like walked by. 5 minutes later, he came again and started talking to me, and he was actually Carol's ex, so he looked after the
Yeah.
house as well. So they get people watching, I think, for people coming. And he said, "Oh, just go and knock on the door and say hello to Carol." So I did, but the owner was just on his way round. So
Was it?
yeah,
Yeah. It's like you're going to naturally be drawn, and especially if you're local to the area, you're going to want to go and see it because of the story behind it. And
well, that's right.
you know,
Like I travel from Nottingham. I don't go to Pontefract, so I've got to go, haven't I?
yeah,
What can I
you want
say?
to fit, and I think you can sort of get a vibe for it. And again, it just feels like a normal housing estate. It doesn't feel any different. Even when you walk onto the driveway of East Drive, it doesn't feel any
No, it
different than
just
being on the.
didn't. No,
It's just a peculiar place. Like
it
I think
is,
that
isn't it?
my wife got three
Uh,
spirit dolls.
Three spirit dolls. I've got quite a few in my house. I'm going to purchase some items from Haunted Antiques as well. I don't know. I've been going there 7 years now, and I'm just, oh God, I'm
It's a,
gutted it's going.
it's a great location, and it's great because when we've investigated it. I truly do believe that it's not the actual location, it's the stuff that's in there that's made it.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and some of the stuff, are there are really unique stuff. And
Oh,
and it's
definitely.
funny, he's got a particular doll. It's like it's funny, and apparently it's in an encasement,
Oh, yeah.
and if anything happens to it, it happens to the person,
Oh, yeah,
and
that one.
we sort of touched the encasement and we were like, really, really. And
Mm,
me being me, I could be a bit immature, you know.
yeah.
And I was just saying stupid things. But I kid you not, the next day we were driving away from Hinckley and drove across the road and we nearly got hit by an oncoming lorry. Like literally
Ooh,
we had set and I was like, could that be to
ooh.
do? And Sarah looked at me and goes, that's because you were taking the piss out of the dog the night before.
Oh my
Like she was
gosh.
adamant. And it was just like 1 minute the lorry wasn't there, and then suddenly was it a misjudgment on my end, or could that have been something relating to the dog? And that's the thing that you're left thinking, like, could
Of
it have been?
course,
Could
yeah.
it? And
We just don't know, do we? And you will never know.
but it
And
is a
that's
great
the whole
location
thing.
though. Great location.
Ah, Chris. Does RAF bases, asylum, and a school. And if it's Roseby Asylum, I've been there in the daytime, and that's an amazing place.
Oh,
Yeah, I
whereabouts
went
is it?
Lincolnshire.
I'll write it down now.
Yeah, before it's actually bulldozed, so there's access because somebody's cut a massive hole in the fence.
Oh, so you can get in there then.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a great big metal fence, but yeah, and like it's just loads of people in there. But you do have open manhole covers, and when I went in the daytime, the weekend before, this girl had like fallen down one and broke something.
Oh
So
wow.
you have to be careful. Obviously you have. Yeah, that's the one. But it's just incredible just to go and see it and just try and get some feeling of what it was like and how. But then I did go to Denby. I didn't get in the asylum, but I went near it, and I found a road where I could view it. And
Yeah.
I just parked the car on a hill, and this bloke just like I don't know, it's gone for a walk, but it's really random because people generally weren't walking up the hill, and it's like a bit away from everywhere. And he was a local, and he sort of told me all about it and how proud the Denby were of the asylum. And that's not the image you get, is it? You kind of think asylums are bad places.
Yeah, like when you think of the word asylum, you instantly
Yeah, you
think
think
about
it's horrible and
crazy people, dangerous people.
barbaric, the way they treated people and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
But Denby are actually Denby did shut quite late on. So obviously the medicine practices had changed by then. So the way he saw it, it was a positive place, and most people in Denby were actually employed there as well.
really. That's a
Yeah.
that's a
So you
positive spin to it.
Yeah, so you don't think of that, do you? You just think now with this abandoned place, and you see probably the Victorian towers, I don't know, and you see all that architecture, and just
Yeah,
imagine how bad and how sad it was. But the fact that it was open in our lifetime,
and it
and
was actually a good
it wasn't
place.
cruel, and it's interesting,
Mm.
it's a different take on what you think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when you're saying about like the darker side of the stuff. I think. Do you think it's because when we watch stuff on TV, like a lot of the stuff is very demonic, it's dark, it's this. And I think that's another spin of the paranormal, why a lot of people are scared of it. Because every time you watch something on TV, they sell it to you as everything's so dark or it's a
Yeah.
demon, it's demonic, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And actually, do you know what? It's not really like that at all, is it, really?
No, not really. And Asylum in Essex got a bad reputation. That's word of mouth. So yeah, and yeah, there are sort of asylums which are and have that horrible history, don't they? But
Yeah.
I kind of like when I first started, I was going in love and light. Don't believe in demons. Don't believe in this. Don't believe in that. Well, I'd never experienced a ghost. I had, but I'd been in denial about it. But like haunted antiques has taught me a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I took part in something called the Demon Files as well, which was done. And I took part in that, in the imagery getting in my head. I didn't know what one looked like.
Mm.
And then to check it out on the phone, that image I got, it was like, oh, okay, and how did I get that?
Yeah.
It's not
No.
something I can imagine because my imagination isn't that good.
No, no, and that's the thing.
So,
It's like when people have spoken to me, like when they've asked me the question of what do you think of demons, they use the word that is a form that never walked the actual ground. It comes from a different kind of place. But
yeah,
then my thing is, if say for example you got the worst human being on the world that lived
yeah.
their life as a bad person,
One's
you
just
know,
gone without going down that route.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, it's similar to
yeah, like that.
live their whole life as a bad person, they leave the world as a bad person. Could
Hmm.
they come back as a bad spirit and be that that's where we get it wrong, where we assume it's a demon because of the bad stuff it's doing. But is it not just that bad person that's continued what it did when it was alive?
Yeah. There's one I've met frequently at Haunted Antiques, and I'm sure it'll come out again on Saturday, and I've heard the story so many times from him. I shouldn't give him time. Chris, I learnt by watching my friend Spiritual Bailiff how he's done it, and others how they do it when they do investigations. And you do learn from other people, don't you? And
Yeah, and I think the great thing about certain TV shows, you learn how not to do certain things as well.
oh god,
You know,
yeah,
like I said,
great round waist.
yeah. That I was just about to say the
You
same thing
strive, was
about.
it?
Yeah,
And Codner Castle as well.
we're thinking the same thing, and I was just about to
Yeah.
say the same thing, and and I think that's what makes it harder when you're trying to put out real footage. It's going to get scrutinized because so many other people are faking it. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
everyone that does paranormal are put under the same umbrella. There's no separating that because if one person's doing it, God, everyone has to be faking it. No one is real.
Mm.
And I just think, do you know what? It's a shame it's like that because there's moments that we've experienced that have been absolutely amazing. But as
I have,
soon as
and I
you
can't even mention it
as soon
because
as you
it's so
say this was
crazy.
definitely paranormal, you get scrutinized for it because they're
Oh
like,
god.
well, how do we know you didn't set it to do this and things like that? And even with cameras on a different angle, that shows that no one was in the room. It happened on its own. Still not good enough for some people. And I'm just
Oh
like,
no,
it's a
that's
shame.
right. But
It's a
I
shame.
don't even bother with that, like if I do, I've got a Bobby Love cameras, and if I put it out there, I'll just upload it. There you go. I haven't got time to edit. Okay, I'm lazy. And there it is. That's what happened. And take it or leave it, I'm
Mm,
not saying then you sort of get the clips which are so edited. It's got words. Oh, listen to this again. Listen to this. And people are trying to share on my page stuff which I think, oh, they stand there. Can you go off? And you get a spirit box coming out with a word. Oh no, an app coming out with a word which may be relating to. And they use it as evidence. And people are posting evidence which is so weak onto my page. I ain't
mm.
even allowing it. And whoa. But they won't be
It,
watching this. All they do is use my group just to post things, sort of
it's a
thing.
shame. It's like the other thing that is like the things like the Yeti and the Sasquatch and everything.
Yeah,
People get their
interesting.
people get their images put on TV, but every time I see it, it's just like, doesn't that look like a person with just one of those big puffy jackets on that are
Yeah.
walking up? It just doesn't. And if there is one, why haven't we found its body yet? Like, surely they're going to die eventually, and they don't hide themselves that well. If you're going through all the mountains where they roam, surely eventually you're going to come across their body or something. If I just find those sort of things weird.
Yeah, but the thing is about Sasquatch or whatever UFOs, for paranormal, I didn't believe in mediumship. I thought it's a load of rubbish. At one of my first lessons, I told them what I thought
Mm.
because I'm good like that, and they
Do you
had
know?
knowing smiles. And now I know, and if I can't say that doesn't exist because I didn't think this existed,
Yeah, that's true.
and that's the thing we don't. And if so many people have got evidence of it or convinced of it, like Skinwalker Ranch, things like that, then is it actually a thing? And there's more than just a ranch, it's a large area, which I never
Yeah,
realised.
it's massive. Yeah.
And even Cannock Chase as well, that has them as well, apparently. And Black
Mm.
Eyed Children, well, I don't know, it's just one of those,
It's
isn't
there's
it?
a lot. Sorry, there's like you said about psychic mediums. That was one thing that
Yeah,
I never believed in, and me and Sarah, she asked me to go to the Festival of the Unexplained with
yeah,
her, and at the time, Rob Thompson had come down from I think from America, and
okay,
he was doing readings, and Sarah booked me in a surprise reading,
right,
and I'm like the night before, I'm like, how much do you pay for that?
yeah,
Really? And I went in it with such a closed mind because I thought he's gonna try and
cold
persuade me
reading,
to, yeah. But he sat there, he and I was like, look, you're a nice guy and everything. Go and do what you've got to do. I'm not going to be disrespectful to someone. So I'm just sat there thinking, I could be sat in the bar and having a pint right about now, you know. But yeah, anyway, so we started doing the reading, and then he started describing this man to me. And instantly, in my head, the two people that I would want to communicate with would be my auntie, because I was very close to her, or my grandfather. You know, they were the
Right.
two most important people that had passed on. And he was like, "Yeah, this guy's laughing because he said that he left somewhere and he come back and you thought you got rid of him." And I was like, "This ain't for me." You know, do you know when you start and like your mind's
Yeah.
starting to shut off and you're like going into the world of the abyss and think, "Why am I here?" And it was like, and then he started describing. He was like, "Is a guy at school?" I'm like, "I didn't get on with anyone at school. You know, I
Yeah.
wasn't the best student." And then he turned around and goes, "What about the guy that caught you behind the tree having a cigarette?" And then I was like, "Oh, okay, so that is true."
Yeah.
Again, I was like very clear. I would not give out any information because if it's going to be real, I want him to tell me, not me lead it in any
Yeah.
way.
That's right as well.
And he was like, he helped you, and he's so proud of the man that you could become. You know, he sees you, and I was like, okay. And it was like, wait, there, he's coming forward. He's showing me his face. He's bold. So then I clicked, and I was like, I know who you're describing. And then he turned around and goes, wait there, Nando. His name's Norman Ellis. He was my PE teacher in Balmoral School,
Oh
right?
my God.
He had died years and years before I got with Sarah, right? I
Oh
have never
gosh.
referenced. So I thought, okay, could he have gone through Facebook? I had never referenced this man on my
Mm.
Facebook at all. You know, I opened my Facebook on in 2009. And the only reason I opened the Facebook page is because I started talking to Sarah on Facebook. You know,
Oh, how
I, s- I
sweet.
saw her profile. My auntie showed me her profile, and I was like, she's really pretty. So I was like, quickly do a Facebook
Oh,
page. You know, and that's how my Facebook got
beautiful.
started. You know, it was a bit of a, but yeah, I never referenced the guy, and he was able to tell me the course that he put me on because I did a course that taught me how to do power boating, first aid, sea survival,
Oh
and
wow.
he and
Incredible.
Rob Thompson knew every bit of it, you know, and not
Oh
even
my
Sarah knew it
gosh.
because it wasn't. By the time I got with Sarah, our lives, you know, my life had moved on from a lot
Yeah.
from school, and that was an amazing. That was the first time I would say I believed a psychic medium, you know. But then
Yeah.
I've seen Barry John what he's done. He's really
Yeah.
good, you
Well,
know. So it does.
I host with him, and oh my gosh, he's an incredible friend. He really is.
Yeah.
And Lorraine as well, who's watching, she's helped us as well on events. And
But
you
then
know, it's just a bit strange, like with my feeling that I don't believe in mediumship and whatever, and I'm doing development, and it's just gone rubbish at the moment. I'm not picking anything up, and yeah, I mentioned that last week, and people have made a lot of comments on my page. They're getting the same at the moment, but there's a lot of stuff happening, isn't there, as well? And you
mm,
know, I went from like not believing mediumship that now a lot of my paranormal friends are actually mediums. And earlier I sort of said that I got a private group and I sort of invite people to go on private investigations.
mm,
And most of them are mediums. And a lot of the investigations are mediumship driven.
wow.
And we don't usually, you know, we don't really get the gadgets out, to be fair.
Well,
And
no,
like
but
we'll
use
stand
your
in a
own.
circle and
It,
we'll get like spirits really close to us, and we'll get
mm.
overshadowed, and we'll get things, and and it's really quite intense what we do when, you know, when you get the right energies around you, and it's mad.
It's amazing when you can get activity like that when you're not relying on equipment. You know, I think
Yeah.
that, you know, but yeah, like I said, I didn't believe in mediums before, but at that point, you know, do I believe every medium that I see on TikTok
Oh no,
and
no.
and I think it's just crazy because every day a new medium comes up on
Oh
TikTok
gosh, yeah, that's
and I
right.
think, you know, again, because it again for me, it's a very dangerous field because you're essentially playing with people's emotions, especially
Exactly.
if they don't. And there's one particular guy on TikTok. He claims that he can tell you the gender of your baby. He claims that he
No,
can tell you your fertility journey and what's
that
stopping you
is
from
too
becoming pregnant.
dangerous.
And I'm like, women,
can't.
it's such a minefield with women, they want to be a mum, and if it's not working, to have someone potentially say something that's fake, it's so that, and I think, do you know what? It's crazy. And then the amount of people that just wake up one morning and say, I'm a medium. And then
Yeah.
that, and then, yeah, that's crazy.
Like Lorraine is a great medium. I did development with her. Wow, God, when was it? We used to do. Was it online then in 2020 with Lorraine? Oh no, we did it even before then, didn't we, Lorraine? And she's a great medium, but yeah, she does some amazing stuff. And yeah, she's seen them, and we've all seen the bad ones, haven't we? And
Yeah,
you,
it's
wow,
crazy.
she's been
Isn't it?
developing for 20 years. Wow,
That's fair. If
it's a
you
good
can,
medium.
but I think there's certain things you just don't do, and like I said, this particular guy on TikTok, he claims that he can do stuff with, they've said. I think that's so dangerous to do something like that, because
That's
if you give a
right.
reading and you're given a false hope,
You can't do it.
that can damage a whole relationship. That can damage a marriage, a family setting, everything. And I just think that's so wrong, to do that, especially when you're just basing it on the cards. One minute, you're just getting a load of cards and you're reading it from a card. You can't, I think things like that you shouldn't do. But that's
Yeah.
my opinion. I don't know, that's what I think, and I wouldn't be happy with someone doing that to Sarah,
No. Oh
and
no.
do you know what I mean? I think you just got to be careful with what you're offering and what you're claiming that you can do.
Oh, definitely.
So,
Like anybody who's sort of done development with reputable mediums,
mm,
which I've done a lot with Barry John, and there's other mediums like I had lessons with before that who were great, but they
mm,
tell you sort of how you sort of deliver a message because there's certain things you can't say. You're
yeah.
not going to go down the health route. You really got to be careful because people often come to a medium because they're in a situation. They want to know if they're going to fall in love, if they're going to marry, if they're going to this, they're going to have a baby. But that's really not what it's about. But they're desperate or to contact a loved one who's just passed.
Yeah.
And they're hanging off every word. And you have got to be so careful.
Yeah, I just think it's so dangerous, and you
Yeah,
know, and the amount of money they try and charge people as well on
that's
TikTok,
right. Yeah,
and again, do I believe in psychic me? Yes, I do now, based on my own
yeah.
experience, right? But I just think, again, there's people online claiming to be something just for the fame, clickbait,
Oh gosh, yeah.
and the money, and they don't care about the person that you're dealing with. Like, to tell a person online your mum's going to be cured of cancer, you cannot guarantee that.
You can't
you know
say
you
that.
you can't turn around and say, cancer is one of the biggest killers in the UK, right?
Yeah,
No one can determine if they're going to survive it unless they get the right treatment and the treatment agrees with them. But to
yeah,
have someone online that you've never met before, and all you're doing is sending them a gift, and you give them your first name, and the person said,
that's
will my
right.
mum survive her cancer? And he shuffles a few cards, puts them on the table. Yeah, your mum's going to survive cancer. And
Yeah,
then, and I think, that's the kind of person that should be removed off social media. Should
that's
not be
right.
anywhere near social media. And it's disgusting that there's people like that thinking it's all right to
Because they
do that.
might change the treatment. Like they might think, oh, this treatment's it's ever going, I have to stop it because I'm going to, I'm going to get through it anyway. And, it will affect people's mindset, won't it?
Oh, and the
And
ramification, she's gone home and said, I've been told you're going to survive. We've been told our mum's going to survive. You think it's a
yeah,
knock on effect. So everyone's going to start believing this one person say so.
yeah,
And hopefully it hasn't happened, touch wood. But 5 months down the line, she's passed away. But everyone's believed and been made to
yeah,
believe she's going to
that's
survive.
right.
And that's going to hit them even worse because of the fake message that they've been
That's
given.
right. And they haven't been able to spend that time with their loved one as they could have done.
Yeah, properly
If they knew
digesting
it was
what is really
like,
happening.
if they knew that she wasn't, then you'd be different. You'd make the most of every moment,
Mm. And
you
again,
know?
like with this particular person, if you're a psychic medium, why are you asking them to give you why are you asking them to give you information? If you can read your
Whoa.
cards, or if you can actually connect to spirit, you should be able to say, "Oh, I can see that there's someone unwell in your family. There's someone." You should be given that information, not that they're giving the information and then you're just playing a part to make them hear what they want. Because
Yeah.
if it's obvious that that person wants to hear that their family are going to be okay. That is going to be the only reason they've asked,
That's right. That's
and
it.
you've given them a false hope potentially where, you don't know what stage cancer it is, what kind of cancer has it, has it spread or anything. You've just gone on one thing and you've created a false hope.
Yeah,
And
that's
I feel
right.
so bad for the woman that, you know,
Oh, it's absolutely shocking. And, they don't care. They've just given so many messages to so many people. And yeah,
yeah,
it's all about the
they've got a
bank
load of
balance.
money that they can
Yeah,
go
that's
out and
right.
enjoy, and they're going
Yeah,
to leave people heartbroken with these. I don't
yeah,
particularly like TikTok, like that sort of side of it, because I
that sort of
think
area. Yeah,
I think TikTok as a whole needs to knuckle down on those sort of things and say there's certain things that you cannot do, and that's one of them, because it can damage the whole family. It can, yeah,
yeah. So Lorraine just wants a yes or no.
yeah,
And that's it, really. And you want to know you're getting the right link. You want to, you want to say, I've got the man, da 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 da, and someone go, yeah, that's and that's it. You're there. You've got the right person. You're not picking up some random in the room who's, in there just traveling through or something.
mm,
So at least you're linking to a family member, don't you? And that's that,
yeah, definitely.
or whoever. But mediumship is fascinating, and
Oh,
I
it
have
is.
been lucky to be able to, at some stage, just pick things up. But yeah, it's appalling at the moment. That's what it is, isn't it?
It is a minefield. I don't claim to. I don't think I've got any of those abilities. But when I see someone, it's like Sarah. It's funny with Sarah. Do I think she's? I don't know about Sarah, but she can sort of like say something that she thinks is, and then certain things do happen. It's like
Yeah,
she can preempt something. Like she'll sit
that's
there and go,
cool.
"Oh, this is going to happen," I think, and it happens. Or or
Awesome.
we went to New York, and I know this is crazy. Never been to New York together, and we went, and we were trying to find Madison Square Garden,
Okay.
and Sarah was like, "Nando, we need to go up this way." I get quite moody if I don't know where I'm going. It's out of my
Uh,
comfort zone. I'm like,
yeah,
don't like it, don't like. And she's like,
yeah.
"No, come on, just follow me." For some reason, I've got to go up this road, and we walked about 15 minutes up the road, and I'm like, "Sarah, I don't like walking. We're going the wrong way." 15 minutes after me complaining, we're outside Madison Square Garden.
My
But
gosh,
Sarah
impressive.
had never been to New York before.
Yeah,
We'll be in the middle of where were we? In the middle of Times Square. Full of people. So yeah, Sarah can. I
that's
think
it. That's
there's something
incredible.
strange about my wife. She's not all there. Well, she is
Uh,
all there, but if you're
yeah,
watching, Sarah, I love you, by the way.
oh, bless you.
Before I
Yeah,
get myself into trouble.
it is lovely though, but I could, like, if I was on a walk, I'd always know what direction my car was, and I sort of know where it was. And then, like, you go around, people go, "Oh, where's your car?" And you point, and then you go around the corner, and it's there. And you've been in a
Mm,
massive circle, you didn't recognise any of the
anything.
countryside, you know what I mean? Because it's a totally different route on the way back. Um, Andy, it's nice for mediums to get the direct hits from the recipient they're giving the message to.
Mm.
Yeah, Lorraine says she's psychic. But
Yeah,
yeah, it is
but
incredible, isn't it?
it's a great thing if you're with the right sort of people when it comes to psychic mediums and the development side of it. If you're with the right kind of
Yeah,
people
that's
and
right.
they're doing it in the right way, I think
Yeah,
there's
that's it.
but like I said, but it's the same with anything we do. You're always going to have the good, the bad, and the complete ugly that goes with it, and
Oh gosh, yeah,
it is
that's right.
unfortunate, but yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I just find it fascinating. I've linked into things. I've seen some horrible images, and
Mm,
I sort of get the spirits come forward to me who have had a real horrible sob story. And, you know, some of it might seem really far-fetched, but then I mention it to my friend and she goes, yeah, that happened. You know, and it's like, oh my gosh. And it's hard to pick it up in history, though, as well.
Yeah, I think I've got a little theory when it comes to emotions. Like we've had people that have come and and they feel like we had one guest and we were doing an opening seance and she felt very sad and started crying. And we
Yeah.
couldn't work out. But then there's a story about a spirit that had been pushed down the stairs and very sad. And I think if you very different, but if you've had a similar experience where you've gone through a bit of torment, I think
Mm.
spirit can pick up on our past torments or stuff that we've suffered with, and they can
Yeah,
relate,
that's
and that's why.
right.
And I think sometimes that's where people pick up the sense of being sad or happy, because if you're a happy-go-lucky person, spirit will connect with you with that. And I
Yeah,
don't necessarily think that you need to be psychic to feel emotions because that's what we're based on. We're based on different emotions. And I think that is my little theory there that we can pick up on
yeah.
emotions. But I could be wrong again.
Yeah, it's incredible, but nobody knows the definitive answer. You know, there
Exactly.
are people on different routes, have gone further than others, you know, more about mediumship than others, spirit guides, you know, and
Yeah.
everyone's got the way they are on their own journey and where they're at really, haven't they? And
And I think that's what great is if you can all be in a room together, like you have your belief, I have my belief. Was it Sarah in the chat that she was saying, or
Lorraine,
Lorraine?
Lorraine, yeah.
Lorraine. And
And
we can
Sarah as
always
well.
share we can all share our own experience and beliefs and respect that.
Yeah,
What it's fine. It's when you get the people that like can't seem to like just be nice about it. They got to throw their little negative spin to it, or and then it just turns horrible.
yeah,
I
I
believe
know.
everyone's entitled to feel what they want to feel, and if they're being
Exactly.
triggered, because at the end of the day, all you're doing, and this is what I say all the time with fake paranormal, with fake, you're putting out fake content. All you're really doing is damaging your own self.
That's
It's
right.
you're just damaging yourself, and then when you want someone to believe you, no one's going to believe you. So,
That's right. It
I like,
depends what your market is, doesn't it?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it depends, like, are you telling stories? Are you like, oh gosh, no, like people are putting so much AI on the thing, like they're doing the AI stories. They've got 4 photos, put an AI story behind it. Well, don't, you going somewhere and you telling the story, great. I don't want some TikTok AI thing on my Facebook. And
no,
oh my gosh, like so much of it coming through now.
yeah,
Lorraine says she honours everyone's experience, and that's it. We, apart from the obvious with like photography, and we know like some will say everything light anomaly is an orb,
mm,
and I know photography. I can't say every light is explained because I've got one which I can't explain.
mm,
But okay, it was in a cave. I used a flash. Oh, okay, the flash did it. Well, we asked spirit to do it. Can you show yourself, spirit? And I got an orb in the picture. Well, you know, was it? Wasn't it? We don't know. We never know.
that's the thing. And I think there's some people that just want to be better than everyone else, and that's why they do it.
Oh,
They're.
yeah.
I don't. But I got to be honest. When it comes to a paranormal investigator, and then they claim to be an expert, I don't. I don't believe
Mm,
anyone's an expert because there's so many unanswered questions.
that's
We don't know
right.
for sure. And some of the stuff that people base their skepticism on, is based on what content's been put out. I think to
Mm,
really understand it and to really be able to say this is 100% fake, you need to go to the place with the people and see how they work in real life, not
yeah.
not what the content. And then if you can prove it's fake, then that's fair enough. But you can't make a judgment call by just sitting at your screen and going, "Oh, look
No.
at this. It's fake." No, that doesn't work like that. Go to the location, feel it yourself, see what happens, and then make your determination. But people don't do
Yeah.
it like that.
But loads of, that's all they do. They just watch this content. They think it's real. They're happy. I don't even know if they even want to know if it's real. They just watch it and they just go off every word what's being said.
Yeah.
And, they're happy with that, but they've never actually been out. They've never done an investigation. And the reality of it sitting in the cold and being tired at a weekend, like this weekend, I've been incredibly tired. I only went out Saturday night and I was just tired Friday night, Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, but it happens, doesn't it? But Lorraine says no one's better than anyone else.
No.
And we're all where we're meant to be on our paths, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, we all got our individual journeys, and
Yeah.
we all have our particular styles. And this is what I was saying earlier on. One thing I love about me doing the podcast is by listening to everyone as an individual. So everyone has their own style. Just because I might not disagree, but I might not go with their style doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. It's
That's
just
right.
you got to do it the way, and that's with anything we do in life. We have to find our own unique way that we're happy with, because you don't want to be copying someone else, and
No.
it doesn't come across right. Because they're doing it that way doesn't mean you got to do it that way. And there's
No.
the paranormal is such a wide field. You can literally try
Mm.
anything and see what happens. The only thing you need to be is honest with yourself and with the people that you're sharing your stuff with. As long as
Yeah,
you can
that's
tick those
right.
two boxes, go ahead and do what you want. Yeah, you're going to get the keyboard warriors that sit in their mum's basement at the age of 40, nothing else better
Yeah.
to do it. And the only thing that they can do is be horrible, but that's what they're
Yeah.
there for. At the end of the day, you're never going to get away from those sorts of people. And that's not just in the paranormal field, that's in
Yeah, it's
life in
generally
general.
life, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think, we've all, well, that's the wrong way of putting it, but a lot of us have experienced our own hardships and, things that have gone on in life. And we've had to deal with the backlash because people can't see past what you've done. And I think that's the same with the paranormal. They see it as
Yeah.
one way, and then that's it. There's no other way but their way.
Mm.
Uh, if you want to be 40 years old living in your mum's basement doing that, you crack on and, act like a
Yeah.
child.
That's right. It's like when people often there's a discussion about cat balls and and they go, well, it's made like that. It can't detect ghosts. Well, no, but then if it's sitting there, there's no vibration. It's balanced. Even if it's in a glass,
Yeah.
there's nothing environmentally affecting it. Then why is it going off when you ask it to?
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, like the way things are designed, yeah, okay. They've all got the faults but it's, to me it's probability, isn't it?
Yeah. If you understand the environment where you are, you
Which is,
understand,
if you're a
you know,
decent investigator, you will.
yeah.
And that
It-
like anybody who debunks themselves, that's great. And you
you
do,
know,
obviously, because you've said so in your conversation.
oh, I'll be honest. We were, this is how we had a guy called Brian John Laverty come from Canada,
Oh,
and he
right,
travelled
okay.
to the UK, and he did some investigations with us. This was a long time ago.
Right.
But we were up in the attic, and we heard a woman's voice, and we all thought, "Wow, this is great capture, great EVP."
Yeah.
And then we were like, "Okay, well, before we say it's paranormal, let's just go through each fire equipment, everyone that was recording." And we were able to find it was actually another guy that was sat on the chair. He sneezed, but by the time the sound picked up on the camera,
Oh,
it
it
sounded
sounds
like a
like
woman's
a voice.
voice. So we were able to say, "I've got a little ghost in the background." Do you see him just
Oh,
appear out of
no.
nowhere?
I love that. That's so cool.
But the thing is, you got to be so careful. And we were able to identify ourselves. It was
Yeah.
someone sneezing.
Mm.
It's and if I'm honest, I would say 80% of the time you can find logic to everything that you
Oh,
think is paranormal.
definitely.
It's
Yeah.
that it's just that small, you know, 20% of it is when there's stuff that happens that you just cannot explain.
Mm.
you know, and that's the bits that we will turn around and say, well, let's have a chat about it. Let's see what people's opinions are.
Andy says, good job he wasn't wearing a white sheet.
But the thing is, you know, that is important though. Debunking your own stuff and not being afraid to say, you know, it's, you know, you've got to be strong enough to say, do you know what, we thought this was paranormal, but this was the real reason it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like I'll send things out to people. What do you think? And if someone tells me, it gives me an explanation, I'll think, okay, I appreciate that. You know, and I think that's a good thing as well. You know, we shouldn't be scared to share each other's captures, and you know, it's not about being horrible to each other. If someone sends something to me and I don't think it's paranormal, just do it in a nice way.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah,
no, I've no problem sharing someone's content, but when it's just like a cat ball flashing, it's like, well, it doesn't mean anything to me. No. Maybe I've just seen too much. I want, you know, put 30 minutes of footage out raw. That's fine. You know, show an investigation as it is, but someone going, oh, I've got this or I've got that, and it's.
Do you know what I would love to capture?
Cancer. Yeah.
I would love to capture what I've seen on TV, you know, like Paranormal Capture and things like that, is where these chairs move, they fly across the room. And I want, and do you know what, we've been doing this, what, six years now? You know, we go to locations where it's been on YouTube where the chairs are flown about and doors are opening and I'm like, I'm sat there going, why is everyone else on YouTube picking it up and I can't get one thing like that? Because as soon as I get that,
I've not even looked at the footage. Yeah, a door slamming. I've not even looked at it. So it's at Derby Jail, and I was outside the cells, and there's like hallway. It's not a hallway, you know, the central bit. Yeah. And it's being filmed, and then a door slammed, and
that's cool.
I don't know where the footage is. It is. A little, because I've got these little police camera things. I use those.
Oh, okay.
They're
in,
you know. So I just leave that. If I do
they're the kind of things how long I would stay in the room if it actually happened, you know.
I would.
But that is
I am.
It takes us
again. I've been there before, but she's glad she did. Horrible at the end. The only time years ago.
Yeah, like you got to say, we were doing this, but it's very up. You would need, like, shall we? What's the table tipping?
Yeah.
And I was like, look, if this table was to move with just.
It's all right. It's fine.
No, he's all right. If this table was to move, that would be weird because it's a very heavy table.
Yeah.
And as we were doing it, the table actually lifted and it was on its own two legs. Like instead of being on four legs, it was on two legs.
Wow.
Everyone, and we have a guy who does a lot of filming, and he was filming. Everyone took their hands off the table, and he was able to move his camera right under the table with it just being on two legs. But there was no one touching the actual table. And instead of it slamming back down, it was like it was just gently back down. But I'm
Yeah.